one is about to die. What should he hear, chant, remember, and what should he not do? So this is the subject matter discussed in the first to three chapters of second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the very profound question. So in the context of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the context of the situation therein, Parikshit Maharaj was destined to die within the 7 days, right? So that's why he starts hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. But if we generalize the question, we are also not certain about when we are going to die, right? We can die any moment. In the recent past, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, in our family, and also in some situations in the friends of our family, also it happened that there were deaths, very very untimely deaths, and we don't know when we will die. And last week I was in Kumbh Mela, and the rush was so much, and at the backdrop of Delhi Stampede, and in the backdrop of what happened on February 29th, even when you are trying to do a spiritual activity, you can die at any moment of time. So this question, even though in the context of Parikshit Maharaj, was very well know, very well knew that he's going to die, it also applies to all of us. And that's the reason why Parikshit Maharaj is very particular to know what should we hear, chant, remember, and what should he not to do. And Shukadev Goswami very aptly at that time also replies the importance of bhakti, listening of Srimad Bhagavatam, and so on and so forth. And from chapter 4 to 7, uh, elements of creation, sarga, visarga, primary creation, secondary creation, the ideas of that and the details of that, quite a few technical details of that uh, are told to Parikshit, referring to the conversation between Brahma and Narada. And of course, from 8 to 10, Chatushloki Bhagavatam comes, and the 10 subject matter of Bhagavatam comes. So the chapters 8 to 10 of second canto are pretty important. So sometimes we can have a visual image or certain very important chapters or very important cantos. The moment the canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam comes into your mind, the very detailed descriptions of creation and cosmos comes to our mind. And within that, of course, two dominant topics come. Uh, One is the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, as Brahma has received, and the 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's very interesting. Some chapters have that very very deep rooted branding. Immediately we come to know that the very significant important that matters, right? So also in this 8 to 10 chapters, another interesting thing is Parikshit Maharaj is almost bombarding Sukadev Goswami with his questions. He's so enthusiastic to know so many things apart from the leelas of the Lord and his devotees. He wants to know, he wants to get his knowledge very profound, deep rooted, 360-degree oriented kind of a knowledge. And that's why he's asking barrage of questions. And from in the chapter 8 to 10, there are 21 questions Parikshit Maharaj asks Sukadeva Goswami, apart from the profound questions that come in the chapter 1 to 3. So Sukadeva Goswami very patiently uh, answers them, uh, referring to the conversation between Lord Krishna and Brahma, and also referring to the conversation that happened between Vidura and Maitreya when they met. So this is how the Canto 2, which has got 10 chapters, is decorated, has been given a very good flavor by Shukadev Goswami and as compiled by Vyasadeva. So whenever we remember, the very moment that we remember Canto 2, these are the images that should come in our mind, that these are the details. So today's shloka is 2:10:27. So before we recite, I request my good wife to come over and chant this shloka, because she has been giving quite a few sessions, classes on Srimad Bhagavatam chapter 2 Canto 2 for several days. So I thought we should start hearing from her the recitation of this shloka. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Utsisukshor निर्भिद्यता वैगुधम् ततः पायुस्ततो मित्र उत्सर्ग उभयाश्रयः. One second, I have one more time, read. उस्सीसुक्षोर्धातुमलं निर्भिद्यत वैगुदं तथा पायुस्ततो मित्र उत्सर्ग ubhayashrayah. Translation. Thereafter, when he desired to evacuate the refuse of eatables, the evacuating whole anus and the sensory organ thereof developed along with the controlling deity Mitra. The sensory organ and evacuating substance are both under the shelter of the controlling deity.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Can someone wants to also chant?
Sure, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I try?
Go ahead, Mataji.
Prabhuji, please show the shloka. Utsirkshor dhatumalam nirabhidyat vaigudam tatah payustato mitra utsarga ubhayashrayah.
Thank you, Mataji. I think that the first word is a bit tongue twister, but
Yes.
we can remember this is Utsi Srukshor. Utsi Srukshor. Utsi UTSI SRUKHSHOR. In that way, if you're Utsi
Srikshor dhatumalam.
Yeah. Nirabhidyata Vaigudam.
Nirabhidyata vaigudam.
Tata Payustato Mitra.
Tatah payustato mitra.
Utsarga Ubhayashrayaha.
Utsarga ubhayashrayah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So, Hare Krishna. So this shloka has got a very small purport. We know the continuity of the shloka. This is something coming from the Virata Rupa description of the Lord and how it evolved and what are the elements of that Virata Rupa. We'll dwell in details about this. The Srila Prabhupada, just if you have to read Srila Prabhupada's purport, even in the matter of evacuating stool, the refuse is controlled. So how can the living entity claim to be independent? So Srila Prabhupada puts a question to the reader on where is the question of we being independent even when our evacuating stool is also controlled. So basically, in this shloka, Canto 2, chapter 10, 27, the verse describes the manifestation of Anas and its function in the universal form of the Lord. Sometimes the word universal form, in the English, when the universal form is used, it is used to refer the Virata Rupa, that is the context of this series of verses. Sometimes it is also used as Vishwarupa, which comes in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So today we'll also dwell with the differences of this Virata Rupa and Vishwarupa, which commonly in English it is called as universal form. So sometimes there could be a confusion. So Srila Prabhupada's purport in this verse is very, very concise. So in order for us to develop an understanding of this matter, or if you want to dwell slightly deeper into this matter, because the purport is very small, so we'll try to see what is the preceding shloka and what is the succeeding shloka. So then we'll get the context. So in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami is describing the Virata Purusha of the Lord, illustrating how various bodily functions and organs correspond different aspects of cosmos and governed by specific deities. So this is one of the foundational understandings that we should have, that various organs, even within our body, as they're manifesting in the Virat Rupa, correspond to different aspects of cosmos and are governed by specific duties. So even we may think that this is our body, but the functions of this body are also governed by the forces of the cosmos. This is the foundational understanding that we should have. This portrayal, this understanding emphasizes the interconnectedness of all creation and the divine orchestration between every function. So basically, when we know that even our body's function, the different aspects of our body functions, are part and parcel of the overall cosmic manifestation, and they're governed by specific deities, which are given in this in this canto. So this is a very, very important point. Why? What happens if we have this develop this understanding is what we will come slightly later. But let's pause for a moment. Again, recap this very, very foundational point that this shloka, as explained by Sukadeva Goswami, is describing the Virata Purusha form of the Lord. In this one shloka, he discussed one part, how various our bodily functions or organs correspond to different aspects of cosmos and how they are governed by the specific deities. And another important correlating point is how they are all interconnected as a part of the creation with the divine orchestration behind every function. So here it is going to the very gross function of we evacuating something from our body is also controlled by divine orchestration. It is very baffling to imagine that a scripture like Srimad Bhagavatam can go up to this detail to make the reader understand that even the process of my evacuation is also controlled by the divine orchestration that is working along with the cosmos that God Himself has created. Why this understanding is different is important. We may ask us why we should bother about these things. There's a very important underlying subtle philosophical idea behind it. But before we go there, we'll try to understand. In the preceding verse, that is verse 26, discuss the creation of genitals and their controlling deity of procreation. Even procreation is also part of the divine manifestation or interconnected divine orchestration that is influencing our body functions. And in the subsequent verse, 28 describes the formation of navel and its association with life, air, and death. So within the sequence of 26, 27, 28, 27 particularly focuses on the development of anus for the elimination of waste as seen by a preceding deity called Mitra. So each has got a preceding deity. At the end of this, at the end of this session, we'll try to get a recap of who are the preceding deity called Mitra. So when we read Bhagavatam, or at least when we read the Bhagavatam first time, it looks very, very odd and baffling, right? Why this many details are given, or is it like this? So when we understand the nitty-gritty bits and bytes, nuts and bolts of cosmic manifestation, our knowledge increases, our belief in God increases, the way we perceive and presence and experience the presence of the Lord in every aspect of the nature and every aspect of our own body increases. What does it mean? That means we tend to carry God with us most of the time. This is one of the foundational things that we need to understand. That's the reason why Bhagavatam is going so many details. So that's why Srila Prabhupada also sometimes comments that many scriptures are there, many holy books are there, which say that God is great. But they sometimes may not be able to explain why God is great. What is His greatness? How everything in this cosmos is interconnected. Those details are given in Srimad Bhagavatam. And probably that's the reason why the elders, the Vyasadeva, when he compiled this particular chapter, he has said answers to all, Srimad Bhagavatam answers to all questions. So it goes to this level of details. So, so what does this statement of Srila Prabhupada's purport means? Even in the matter of evacuating stool, the refuse is controlled. So how can the living entity claim to be independent? Actually, he's not independent. We are now coming to know that he's interdependent on the functions and functionalities and modus operandi of the cosmic manifestation, right? So first is divine regulation of bodily functions. Even seemingly mundane bodily process, such as deification, is under the supervision of specific deities, in this case, Mitra. This indicates that every aspect of our existence is meticulously managed by higher powers. This indicates that every aspect of existence is meticulously managed by higher powers. If we understand this, we can definitely say that we have crossed one step in the journey of our devotion. Okay? This indicates, what does it indicate? The divine regulation of bodily functions indicate that every aspect of our existence is meticulously planned by higher power. The next point that comes out of this small purport is illusion of independence. Sometimes we often pride ourselves on autonomy and control. I can do this, I can modify this, I can do this, I can control this. And something that I do can control me. That is now nowadays the new trend that is coming with chat GPTs and artificial intelligence, is that right? The intelligence that is created by human, which is termed as artificial intelligence, seemingly seemingly seem to control uh, us. So in the context of that, in the midst of that huge surge of technology explosion and the improvements in the technology that human beings are able to carry with the mind and intelligence actually given by God, appears to be very contradictory. The very intelligence that I create is able to control me. It's very interesting. So in those times, we may get some kind of an illusion that we are under control. Something is on my control. Whatever I create is what is driving me, and then what God has created, right? So that's very important. So in general, from this purport, we should understand the illusion of independence. We should be very cautious uh, because often we pride ourselves to having autonomy and control. However, the necessity of divine oversight for basic psychological functions and challenges this notion. The very divine oversight of basic physiological functions challenges this notion, right? Even I cannot control completely without the divine intervention the way I release the waste from my body, suggesting that independence is an illusion. True independence is an illusion. We have only a minute independence, minute free will to act, just like the way the animals are when they're tied right with the rope. They can only go to the extent that that rope can take them, right? Same way, in our case also, not at all different. But why we need to stress this concept very importantly? Because the times are changing, the technologies are overpowering us, the features and the facilities and the conveniences that technology is giving us can be overwhelming, and they can drag us to a feeling that human beings can control everything. The answer from Srimad Bhagavatam is loud and clear that we do not have full independence. Full independence is only an illusion as far as we are concerned. The only person who is fully independent is Lord Himself, nobody else. Then, if you know that there is a divine regulation even to a smallest function, bodily function of us, and that full independence is an illusion, if we understand that, first, if we understand that divine regulation of bodily functions is a part of the cosmic manifestation managed by higher powers, step number one in bhakti, and illusion of independence, if we know it, and if we know the reality of our dependence on God, next step in devotion. And these two steps actually can lead us to many, many more steps in the bhakti. And what are those? Sometimes when you do couple of things, even when you do in problem solving, also it comes right. Couple of important steps that you do, uh, suddenly, it helps you to accelerate to what you do because the knowledge that it has. I'm from software industry, and we often see that sometimes when people are developing the software code, in the beginning it may look very difficult when end user gives the functional requirements, and when we are configuring and we are coding, suddenly after some point in time, the speed at which it goes is very fast because that very foundational things have been built. Divine regulation of bodily functions are managed by higher powers. Illusion of independence should be known, and reality of interdependence and exclusive dependence on the God has to increase. If these two steps we cross, then I can say that we can cross 10 more steps in one shot. What is that step? It encourages us to develop humility. Very, very important concept, very, very important characteristic that we should have. Humility brings us good behavior, good nature, ability to tolerate. And that's the thing that opens the door for us to experience the sweetness, the greatness, everything that is related to God and its creation. So, for us to get humility, these two things are needed. And this is what is purport. When we dig deeper into this purport, is revealing. So, we should know that even our bodily functions are part of cosmic manifestation and managed. And we should know that we do not have full independence. We only have little independence, but if we have a lot of interdependence between the elements of the cosmic manifestation and full dependence on the Lord. And these two things will help us to really accelerate our journey towards back to back home Godhead because it encourages the quality of humility. Development of humility comes from this. So, humility is a trait that we can develop. And these are the great lessons that we learn from Srimad Bhagavatam that we understand, right? So that's reason why it's important to read and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. Reading is one thing, understanding is one thing, and trying to discuss amongst the devotees is something very different. So even though Srila Prabhupada succinct purport for today's shloka of 2:10:27 is very small, right? But serves us to remind us the intricate control exerted by the divine forces over all aspects of existence. That all should be capital letters that are etched in our mind as capital letters ALL. The intricate control exerted by divine forces influences all the aspects of existence from grand cosmic events to the most bodily functions. So nowadays we see in the news that there is some asteroid or something is going to fall, and the size of that is there, and there are millions and millions of asteroids, and there are some are asteroids are orbiting around moon, sun, and some are asteroids that are coming orbiting on the in the Earth. And one asteroid is supposed to come, and even though the probability is very low, its path when they simulate it might come and fall near Mumbai or Calcutta, and it's very big and it can cause heavy damage and it's got so much of energy. But then again, when they look at the astrologists, astronomers look at it, they say that Earth Earth has got a very different force that is surrounding it. Anything that enters cannot enter directly. The force of the earth is such that earth by itself has got a protective layer to protect itself. So anything that is coming out, it resists, and sometimes it resists so toughly that most of the things get burnt. So they also think that the asteroid, when it comes, the earth's surface kind of a layer, it burns itself. But even then, that's a huge energy that is released. So everything God has created, a action and a reactive thing, and that is very minutely, adjusted. It's something like when a virus enters into a body, obviously immediately our body tries to fight the virus. It keeps on fighting the virus. When the body starts fighting the virus is what when we get the symptoms. Cold, cough, fever. These are mostly our symptoms, saying that something is wrong with the body, something has entered the body, it is trying to harm the body. So body's natural reaction is that to fight it. And only when the fight is too much and body is not able to fight too much, then that's where we take the medicine, right? So like this, in the very succinct purport, Srila Prabhupada is basically asking us to understand and remind ourselves about the very intricate control that is exerted by divine force. That what does it mean? It means that we have to be always be conscious that whatever is happening around us, whatever is happening inside inside us, is all because of the divine force. When we are conscious about it, then we become divine conscious. The divine conscious is God consciousness, and that God consciousness in reality, in the personal form, becomes Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not something that we can read and get it and put it in our mind, or we can put it in our pocket. Krishna consciousness, the way Srila Prabhupada explained, is mostly a way of life. In other words, English term words, it should be our DNA. It should be our way of life. And Krishna consciousness becomes way of life. We should be Krishna conscious, but we should not just be only conscious to be Krishna conscious, but we have to be truly Krishna conscious means we have to understand these important points that are explained by Acharyas from the very succinct purports of Srila Prabhupada. I just pause here. If you have any questions, if you have any comments or questions I want to take before moving to the next uh, part of the session.
Prabhu, this Virat Purusha is referred is only Mahavishnu, no?
Yeah, correct, Prabhu. That I'm going to cover that. Yeah, I'm talking about whatever important points that I've covered so far. Any doubts on that? Are we willing to meditate and concentrate on these three very important things that Srila Prabhupada is trying to put? One, divine regulation is there even in our simple gross bodily functions. We should not be under the illusion that we are independent. And when we have this together, we can get the most important component of the recipe that is going to take us to back to home, back to God. That is the humility. If we remember these three things for the discussions that we have done in the last half an hour, then we have done a significant progress in today's session. Yeah. And as I told that Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, Chapter 10 is also very famous for outlining the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the 10 points are Sarga, the initial creation of the universe involving the generation of fundamental elements and senses. We are actually discussing the Sarga part, the initial creation of the universe, Virata Rupa, how it evolves, how the cosmic manifestation is created, how each of our bodily functions are also connected with a preceding deity, and what is the overall structure of the Virata Purusha is what we are discussing. That is Sarga. Then Sarga, Visarga, the secondary creation or sub-creation, referring to the subsequent interactions and combination of these elements under the influence of modes of materialization. This is the creation that starts from Brahma. And most of our Puranic stories, the Purana stories that we hear are part of the Visarga, the creations that starts after Visarga, where Vishnu manifests into several avatars and things like that. Then Sthana, positioning and maintenance of these planetary systems, and Poshana, protection, nurturing of the sustenance. Uti is the impetus of creative activities driven by the desires and inclination of the living entities. How each one of us get influenced by our own impetus to create activities under the modes of material nature. Manvantara is a period of governing different manus, the great kings, overseeing the cosmic administration, point number one, and moral codes during the respective eras. There are many eras, many yugas These Manvantra, Manus are created. They are the fundamental administrative authorities, and are the law books. They create the law books for the moral code. What is dharma, what is adharma, and things like that. And Ishanu Katha, and narrate descriptions of the narrations of Supreme Personality or his devotees. This is what comes throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ishanu Katha is one thing that helps us to develop pure devotional service, listening to the stories of the God and stories of the devotees. Srimatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hrudayantastoyi Abhadrani Vidinoti Srusatam. By hearing the transcendental qualities of Krishna, our heart is cleansed. Comes in the early chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, and in Canto 3, 25, 25, the Devahuti is also taught by Kapila Dev. A similar way, we have to listen to the glories of the Mamaviryo, the great valorous pastimes of Krishna, then automatically bhakti comes, Ishanukata. Nirodha is after if something is created, something is also liberated, right? So Nirodha is a dissolution where material manifestation merges into the supreme, and Mukti is liberation. And liberation is a very interesting word, Mukti, because there's a lot of confusion about this. But one important definition is that it is soul's release from the material bondage is Mukti. Not only that, its establishment in its original unchanging spiritual form. That means we cease to exist in this material bodily form, but we go back to our original form as it exists in the spiritual abode of the Lord, and that is Mukti. Mukti doesn't mean that we just give away some things and we are liberated. No. First is giving up, detaching ourselves, and attaching it to the our original thing, that is Mukti. So, getting away from one place and going to a permanent place, getting away from the temporary place and going to getting back our permanent position or permanent rupa, that is Mukti. Ashraya is the ultimate shelter of the Lord. So these are the 10 topics that are discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sarga, Visarga, Sthana, Poshana, Uti, Manvantra, Ishanukada, Nirodha, Mukti, and Ashraya. So these, and when we are in the beginning of those 10 topics, that is Sarga, initial creation. So this is what we need to understand. And later we'll come to know the things. So sometimes I get this question. So it's wrong to say that we get. Sometimes when I read Srimad Bhagavatam, not only this kind of cantos, or sometimes description of stories and description about people and description about places. Uh, so many details come. So many details are given. So I keep wondering why so many details have to be given. Just like in this canto, Anus is by a preceding deity, Naval is by preceding deity, Anus is formed like this, limbs are formed like that, this. The details are overwhelming. So I keep getting this question now and then. So I tend to see why these kind of details are given in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is supposed to be a scripture of only pure devotional service. Why don't they just give some stories of Lord and his devotees that evoke the pure devotional service, and why so many details? So you also might get, definitely I get now and then. So the important thing here is why it is given. Our first thing is it helps us to understand what is ultimate shelter. Only when I know that even my gross, simple bodily function are dependent on God and they're interconnected and controlled by the Lord, then I develop that hunger to be Shambhan, right? And then that's the thing that it starts me to get into the shelter. Because if somebody asks me to just surrender to the God, and if I do not know the details of this whole cosmic creation, what's happening here, and why it's happening here, how am I connected, what is my role in this cosmic manifestation, Uh, and if I do not dwell into this in detail, maybe it's difficult to get that feeling of ashraya, the feeling of taking the ultimate refuge. That's one reason. Mahavishnu, as been rightly Prabhu has said, Virat Purusha, Mahavishnu's manifestation, is described in detail to highlight that all cosmic manifestation, creation, maintenance, and dissolution are under his control. That is God's control, the Mahavishnu's control. And the purpose is to make listener understand beyond all these material manifestations, all these manifestations, different forms of Vishnu, there is one person who is Lord Sri Krishna, and he is the ultimate shelter of everybody. Ishvara Paramakrishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. All these details are given so that when they are summed up, the understanding of which is summed up, and that will lead us to this conclusion, Ishvara Paramakrishna Sachitananda Vigraha. If these details are not given, there can be a possibility, and there can be a very high possibility, that people may contend that statement and why Krishna is the only Supreme Personality of the Godhead. But then we explain Sarga, Visarga, Sthana, Poshana, Uti, Nirodha, Mukti, Ashraya, and then a reader, a mundane person like us, can tend to understand. So sometimes when you give the details and some of the details and present it in a form of a conclusive thing, it helps. Even in our management presentations also sometimes, right? Conclusion is told top and then the details are given down. Or sometimes the details are given down and conclusions are drawn. Because everybody is interested to know how that conclusion is arrived at. If you do not have a backup data to prove yourself on what it is, and even though your conclusion may be absolutely right, but it doesn't work. So exactly the similar way, Srimad Bhagavatam also deals. And Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur tackles this point, tackles my kind of a question. The question that I've got states that descriptions of Mahavishnu ultimately direct our mind towards Krishna, the original personality of the Godhead. So the more and more we describe, more and more we understand the works of Mahavishnu in the Sarga, primary creation, and in the form of avatars, incarnations, in the secondary creation, then it is slowly, they direct our mind towards Krishna, the original personality of the Godhead. So this is the purpose. And Bhagavatam, describes Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, which comes in the earlier chapters. We already covered that, to systematically explain the process of universal creation and maintenance. So this is the greatness of our Sanatana Dharma scriptures. They go in details, like even in the material examples, we say that, it's not exactly connected with this, what I'm saying, but devil is in the details, details are very important. So detailed planning is very important, right? So systematically explain the process of universal creation and maintenance. So that is the greatness. They don't hide anything. They don't let user or the reader have too many questions. They at least try to explain the complete details of the creation to the extent possible, the universal creation and maintenance, and the systematically are explained. So when an intelligent reader tries to understand this, his faith in what is being said solidifies. So if we ourselves for a moment consider that we are intelligent in the sense that we should not be, I'm not saying out of pride, but at least we have that intelligence to read and understand. God has given that faculty, thank God, that we are able to read and understand something, right? Unlike other living entities or even other human beings. Sometimes people may not have that faculty that much developed to even understand this, to sit in a Bhagavatam class like this, to deliberate on these things, right? So we have to be grateful towards the Lord. So when we understand systematically this, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Swami particularly explains in a different angle. He says that these descriptions counteract the impersonalist view that creation happens automatically. There's an impersonal view concept that everything came as a big bang and there's a light and then automatically it comes. There is no reason, rhyme. No, no, no. These Bhagavatam statements, these Bhagavatam explanation very clearly counteract that impersonalistic view. And that is the reason why we should very carefully listen to them and also deliberate on the activities of Supreme Lord, so that sometimes in our weak moments, we may also tend to think that everything became automatically. Everything, so I don't have to worry about it. Why? Why it happens? Because in the weak moments, when we don't have answers to many questions, it's very easy to think that something happened automatically, right? But nothing happens automatically. Nothing happened. Automatically, it's an interesting word that was created during the mechanization when post First World War, just before the pre-World War One, the automation was used because that's a process that increases the productivity. It created machines. It reduced the human intervention in certain processes, and so that auto is something that moves, right? Auto rickshaw, anything that moves, a motoric function which works, but automatic for a machine to work, an intelligent person has to create, intelligent person has to program, intelligent person has to operate, right? Automatically, there's nothing like automatic. Just like the way in Dubai, we see the metro, there is no engine driver. So I can't say that metro is going without a driver. No, no, no. Driver is not there in the train, but the driver is sitting in the control room, right? And the software that is designed by the engineers is the driver to some extent. The interlocks, the safety balances, safety checks, that is there. So there's nothing like a real perfect automation. Behind every automation, there is something, right? Even the artificial intelligence is also there. It's not completely acting on its own. There is an intelligence that is fed in terms of generative predictive transformation, the way it can compile and read the documents, because it's computer, it can read so fast and it can collect the metadata and it works automatically. But it doesn't by itself automatic. So this is one thing we should very interestingly understand. And this is where we need to understand that for everything there is a reason. So that's why in ISKCON there's a very big institute called Bhakti Vedanta Institute, which is established with the encouragement of Srila Prabhupada by certain scientists. So they do a lot of research. In one of their magazines, long time back, I read a very beautiful article about this impersonalist view and the explanation of God, who is actually a person. So if somebody were to stop me and ask and put catch my collar and say that, tell me who is God. You say that you read Bhagavatam, you say you talk about Bhagavad Gita, tell me who is God. And he says that I will give you only 3 seconds or 2 seconds to tell who is God. What can I tell? Should I tell God is Krishna to him? Should I tell that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of the Godhead? Or should I tell him, so you open second canto, 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam? No, it doesn't work with him. He'll not be convinced. So the best answer the scientists give is to explain to those persons, you're asking me who is God? God is the causeless cause of all causes. You may think anything about that. Who is that? Causeless cause of all causes, including the example that we are given in this shloka, that even our process of releasing the waste from our own individual bodies has also is a part of causeless cause of all causes. So I can say that, in my opinion, God is causeless cause of all causes. You understand the way you want. So that helps us to go beyond this impersonalistic views, because sometimes we may be tempted. Uh, so this also contracts, this understanding also contracts the, sometimes some great philosophers, they say that, God, Brahman is formless, but here we know not only God has got form, and how his form in the Virat Rupa, who directs this cosmic manifestation, has evolved. has got a purpose, has got a duty, as he has got a very clear job description on what to be done. So it's not a formless world. It's not an illusionary world. And that's why the intricate descriptions of Mahavishnu's cosmic activities prove that the universe is not an illusion, but a temporary phase of a real creation of the Lord. So the very fact that we are dwelling so many things in this chapter are because to make our understanding solid, make it solid, solid so that we don't get attracted or tempted to a Mayavadic philosophy that God is formless and everything is happening automatically and everything is illusionary. No, it may appear like illusion because it is temporary, but it is real creation of the Lord. Everything what we see is a real creation of the Lord, even though it appears temporary. But however, in some descriptions, even in the scriptures, in the purport, sometimes they say it's illusionary, everything is Maya. What does it mean that illusionary is? That illusionary perception of illusion is because it is temporary. That's why we say it's Maya. So that's very important point. The students of Bhagavatam, particularly the students of Srimad Bhagavatam of Srila Prabhupada's purports must understand, realize, and believe that it is not an illusion, but a temporary, seemingly temporary, real creation of the Lord. And Bharata Vidyabhushan states that this refutation is also crucial uh, to establish that bhakti as the highest path rather than the impersonal Brahman realization. So when bhakti becomes our highest path, bhakti becomes our primary goal through humility, through the understanding of the interdependence of the cosmic manifestation, and to lessening the understanding that we are independent, to know that even our small gross bodily functions are also controlled by the cosmic manifestation, to know that God is causeless, cause of all causes, will help us increase our bhakti. This is the important thing. So, this universal control, the understanding of how Mahavishnu expands and creates innumerable universes, helps devotees help strong faith that God is all powerful and fully in control. Okay. So, importantly, Srila Prabhupada in his purports emphasizes that the purpose of describing Mahavishnu's grandeur, just like the way I was having a question, right? Why so much of description has to be given in the shlokas? Overwhelming knowledge, overwhelming information. Srila Prabhupada's explanation, understood why Srila Prabhupada did. Srila Prabhupada is saying is describing Mahavishnu's grandeur is not to overwhelm devotees, people like me who get overwhelmed with so much of information, not to overwhelm devotees with technical details, but to increase their faith and surrender to the Lord's supreme plan. More details and more technical is given with a purpose for us to increase our faith in order so that we can surrender to the Lord's supreme plan. So in Bhagavad Gita, in 13th chapter, in one of the purports, it comes, I think in 42, our life should be molded in such a way that the plans which we make are actually the plans that God makes for us. And God makes plans are exactly the plans that we make. That means God's plans and our plans are actually matching. When we have that interdependence and interconnectivity and the feeling of expression of God, automatically our intelligence is driven in such a way the plans which we make are exactly the plans that God is also thinking about us in the same way. It's like a father who's basically thinking about the welfare of the kid. That kid has to study well, like this, like this, like this. If the kid also has got the same plan that I have to study well, like this, both of their plans and objectives meet. But if father is thinking that, okay, my son has to study well and he has to be a good person, but the child is thinking in a different way, I will not study well, I will do a bindas life, I can do whatever I want, then the things will not match. And then that's where is the friction. And when the friction comes, the disappointments come. And most of our plans that we see that are failing in a regular manner, or because they are not aligned with God's plan. God's plan is something that is made for us. We do not know that, right? But more and more we get into the mood of surrender. More and more we understand that He's all powerful, He's in fully control, and we have taken the Ashraya path. That's the ultimate step of Srimad Bhagavatam. Automatically, automatically, what we plan actually matches with God's plan about us. So that's why they succeed. That's why in some people we see that whatever they plan, tuck it happens. But for people like me who do not have full faith, I make 100 plans, but 99 of them fail. Only one or two may succeed because my planning is about my sense control. My planning is not to realize that He's all powerful and is fully controlled. My plan is not to understand that it is real but temporary. My plan is not under this full mood of surrender. The more and more we surrender, automatically our tuning happens. We somehow intuitively know what is God's plan for us, and our movements and all that we make in our life exactly matches. So that is, in other words, in a very loose term, I I use this. Sorry if I hurt anybody in this. That loose term is luck. We call it luck, right? That luck is nothing but when our plans match with God's plans about us, that is luck. Okay, but we are driven with more with bad luck than luck, right? So that's what we need to understand every aspect of it. And in other native language, we also say sankalpa balam. In my native language, we say వాడికి చాలా సంకల్ప బలం ఉందిరా అంట. That what does it mean? Is that whatever he thinks, it looks like as if God is given him a full empowerment to succeed. Okay, so this is what it is. So these cantos, even though they may look very technical, but you delve deep, these are the very important points that keep coming when you churn. And Sukadev Goswami also explained that creation through Mahavishnu, knowing that Parikshit Maharaj and many reasons still have an inclination to understand the material world. Because Parikshit Maharaj wanted, Sukadev Maharaj felt that maybe people may be inclined to understand the material world. So he has taken the opportunity to give not only to Parikshit Maharaj, to all other reasons about the details of this material world. But however, as the Bhagavatam progresses, the description lead to pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, directing the attention towards Krishna's pastimes and personal qualities. So that's why Srila Prabhupada also, when he says, should we read Bhagavatam? He says that progressively you read, canto by canto, canto by canto, canto by canto, till we reach the ultimate summum bonum of 10th canto, 11th canto, where pure devotion is very, very glorified, along with other cantos where the pastimes of the Lord are there. So directing the attention towards Lord Krishna's and pastime. And Srila Goswami also comments that Bhagavatam first satisfies the inquisitive mind with a detailed knowledge. Bhagavatam satisfies the inquisitive mind with detailed knowledge, as given in this canto, very, very high level technical details, but gradually reveal the sweetness of devotional service, that is bhakti rasa. So this is what it is. So this is the very important, the point that I made should be understand. Uh, we should try to remember. So details of Mahavishnu in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, are not just cosmological descriptions, just like a technical description, but they serve a higher purpose. What is that higher purpose? To establish the Lord as supreme shelter, Ashraya, to refute the impersonalistic ideas within us and emphasize bhakti, and to help devotees understand that creation is not automatic, but under Lord's control. God is causeless cause of all cause. To prepare the mind for deeper personal realization about Krishna's supremacy. Again, I repeat, to establish Supreme Lord as ultimate shelter, to refute impersonalist philosophies and emphasize bhakti, to help devotees understand the creation is not automatic, but Lord's control, to prepare the mind for a deeper supremacy. So as I told that we'll also see quickly the differences between Virat Rupa and Vishwarupa. Because this is a very common question that comes in our thing, right? So if you see Virata Rupa that is described here in Canto 2, chapter 10, and other chapters, and Vishwarupa that is given in chapter 11. As I told before, somehow in English, both are called universal form in some place or other. So the Virat Rupa is a form that is representing the cosmic creation. Yeah, it may appear to be it will appear to be temporary, right? And Vishwarupa is a form temporarily Krishna has manifested to Arjuna to show him all the universes and beings in one place. So that's a difference. This is representing cosmic creation, and Vishwarupa is a temporary, like a film, like a small trailer that Krishna has used Arjuna to see the encompassing all universe and beings. Because Arjuna asks, if you are having so many opulences, how are you? What are you? Let me see it. So those details that are given in Srimad Bhagavatam is what Krishna has displayed to Arjuna, but that was a very, very short trailer kind of a thing. And that's why it's called Vishwarupa. And Virat Rupa is the cosmic creation details. And Virat Rupa helps us to aid for meditation, to grasp the Lord's personal forms, helps in understanding the Lord's material energies. This is very, very important. It helps us to understand what are the Lord's energies and it helps us to meditate on the Lord's personal form. The Lord has got a form. Even the cosmos is created as a personification, as a form. And the cosmos has also evolved with a very strong interconnection with the form, right? Whereas the Vishwarupa, in terms of its purpose, is only a demonstration of Krishna's supreme power and opulence to reinforce Arjuna's faith in the divinity of Krishna. Because Arjuna needed that thing at that point in time to motivate himself to know what Krishna is telling correct or not. And reaction when people read about Vishwarupa and Virat Rupa primarily serves as a tool for elevating one's consciousness towards understanding supreme, and it fosters reverence. Just like the way we are also telling, right, God is in control of everything, it fosters reverence. And when we foster reverence, automatically we tend to be humble. And Viewer's reaction to what Krishna has shown Arjuna aren't fear. Arjuna himself, even though he requested to see Krishna's Vishwarupa, when he saw it, he got totally baffled. He was awestruck with fear. And then he himself requested, Sir, please come back to your original form. And in terms of permanence, exists as long as the material creation exists. This Virat Rupa exists as form as long as the material creation exists. Dissolution, again recreation. And Vishwarupa in that way is pretty temporary for that phase of that moment where Arjuna wanted Krishna to display. He displayed and again he's back to normal. So that time period is very, very small. And whereas Virat Rupa's existence is through the timeline of the material creation, which can be very, very long. And different form of lords, eternal, transcendental form, and material forms can be perceived here in the Virat Rupa. Eternal means in the whole cycle of the cosmic creation, dissolution, again creation, dissolution, those creation, maintenance, dissolution, creation, maintenance, dissolution. That's whole circle, always eternal, transcendental form, and material representation of that transcendental form is Virat Rupa. And here it reveals all, Vishwarupa reveals all encompassing nature of Krishna, but it also clearly shows that it is distinct from his original two-handed form. So understanding the distinction between Virata Rupa and Vishwarupa, it will enrich our comprehension about Supreme Lord's manifestation. One is to do the cosmic creation, and one is to just to give a quick glimpse to Arjuna what is needed for Arjuna to know the greatness of Krishna. Virat Rupa aids in our meditative visualization, whereas Vishwarupa is a direct revelation to Arjuna, and it's more direct proof to us because a Kurukshetra war, and there was a conversation which was going on between Krishna and Arjuna did ask for a reason. So it's more of a direct revelation about Krishna's greatness and power. That's how we should understand. In a very broad, higher level term, they can have a converging and a confluencing point, but their purpose is different. Virat Rupa purpose is for the cosmic creation. Vishwarupa's purpose is to just to give a glimpse to Krishna, to Arjuna, about the Krishna, divinity, greatness, and power. Yeah, and that's the reason why Arjuna is also, basically after he understands, oh my God, this is what it is, but it's too awesome, too difficult to bear. So he wants to see Krishna in the original form. Same way, we can keep the technical details in the background. And when we start seeing Krishna as a person, as our benefactor, as a person, as an object of our worship, all those technical details of understanding as we keep inside and as we churn, which increases our bhakti, but actual our bhakti disposition or our bhakti activities will be carried the way Krishna has asked us to carry in a very simple terms. And those are enunciated in Bhagavad Gita in many, many, many shlokas. Some of my favorite shlokas are 247, 330, 87, 927, 11, 15, 5, 18, 14. If you read this 247, 330, 87, 927, 1155, 1814. If we go through this, then whole our knowledge, a knowledge of karma, knowledge of transcendental jnana, dhyana, bhakti, all get merged. Then it's only bhakti. Like just in Sangam, right? Nowadays in Kumbh Mela, we talk about Sangam, the Ganga, Godavari, Yamuna. Sangam, Prayag means a confluence. So jnana, dhyana, karma, all these get merged and it forms as a route to bhakti, and that will take us to back to Godhead. And so this understanding of second canto of Bhagavatam, particularly the 10th canto, 10th chapter, should help us simulate these technical details in the mood to know that God, the cosmic creation, is the ultimate controller of all of us. We are extremely, extremely interconnected, interrelated in a complex mesh of connectivities, like a neural network, that is used in the artificial intelligence. Extremely, very complexly interconnected, intermixed, intercorrelated, so that we are able to sustain and survive. If we understand that, and using this, if we develop a small portion or small quantity of humility in our lives, then I think the purpose of reading Srimad Bhagavatam and purpose of being a student of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam can be fulfilled. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for giving this opportunity, Prabhu, Subal Prabhu. I know whether he's there or not. I'm not seeing the participants, but it's been useful for me to recapitulate because this session has really helped me. As I told that my wife has been giving several classes on second canto in the recent past. So yesterday I'd gone to some place to do a session on Bhagavad Gita. So Subal Prabhu had just then asked me to take this class. So I was very worried. What will I speak? But then while driving back from Bardubai to my place, Jebel Ali, which takes about 40 minutes, I spent some time to discuss and take some guidance from my wife as my guru. And she has clarified so many points which I could assimilate and try to give. And this again an important thing of association of devotees and association with those people who have learned and read more than us. Luckily, I knew that my wife was giving the sessions in the recent past. So she basically clarified and actually corrected some of my misunderstandings on the subject matter. So I'm also grateful for her for the guidance that she has given me, for me to be able to present this topic the way that I could present today. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I think I exceeded my time by 6 to 7 minutes. Sorry, Prabhu.
No, it's okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. It was a very wonderful session with lot of details.
Prabhu, can you repeat the last sentence? Virat Roop represents and Vishwaroop represents.
Yes, Prabhu.
In the last, you said that Virat Roop represents what and Vishwaroop. I just wanted to again get
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Basically, I think for the benefit of all of you, what I will do is I just wanted to do that, but I was concerned about time. Okay, I'll just share my screen, Prabhuji,
Sorry,
so you can capture.
just to let you know, the
Oh,
timing is
Sure, Prabhu.
11:30.
okay, Prabhu, can I get the option to share? I think I have the right. Yes, so this is a table that describes. You are able to see, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
We can see, Prabhuji.
Okay, so this is basically is the explanation given by the 1 second. Oh, 1 second, what's happening? Yeah, if you see here, okay, I can send it to Subal Prabhu, this thing, this table. But what you are saying is which point, Prabhu?
And the last paragraph is important, Prabhu. Understanding
Okay.
the distinctions between the Virat Roop and the Vishwaroop enriches one's comprehension of the Supreme Lord manifestations.
While both forms of display of the Lord's connection with the cosmic energy, they serve different purposes. They are revealed in different contexts. Virarupa aids meditative visualization, whereas Vishwarupa was a direct revelation to Arjuna, showcasing Krishna's supreme dominion over all existence. Yeah. So
So the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the Vishwaroop of Krishna,
Virata,
Prabhuji.
they are coming from the creation, right?
Yes.
Vishwarupa is only just a glimpse of that. In our computer language, we use a subset of that
Example.
sample. Yeah, yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
I'll send this. I'll send the whole document to Prabhu. Or maybe it can be used as reference for someone else also. I collated after doing some kind of a study, so I think it'll be useful to share.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Tanat Pranam. Wonderful class, Prabhuji.
Pranam, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, you stated some shlokas which clarifies the mixture of Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and culminating to Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
Those shlokas, can you please state once again, Prabhu, so that I can note
Yeah,
down
yeah.
and refer those?
In Bhagavad Gita 2:14, where Krishna says that you have to do your duty, you can't be lazy, but the results and the reason for the results belong to me. 2:14 and 3:30 in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada says this shloka as objective Srimad Bhagavad Gita itself. It says that you have to do your duty with the mood of a sannyasa. That means complete renunciation and without any fighting or without any ahankar, and give the results to me. And then 8:7, Krishna tells Arjuna, because Arjuna was still very confused at this time, and he's saying, fight or not fight, what is this? And he's putting a lot of questions. So Krishna said, Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmaridhacha mai arpita mano buddhir mame vaishya sasansha. Arjuna, please don't get hassled up. Relax, relax, relax. Just give your mind and intelligence to me and you do your work. And then you will come back to me. That's 8:7. And then 9:27, Krishna is telling, actually, 9:27 is an interesting shloka. Krishna is ordering all of us. Hey guys, nothing belongs to you. Everything belongs to me. You have to give me. That's it. There's no option. Yet karoshi, yadashnasi, yad juhoshi, dadasya, yet tapasasi kauntaya, tat kurusva madarpanam. Whatever we do, whatever charity you do, whatever sacrifice you do, whatever you do, give it to me. And that becomes bhakti. So that's why even in the material context also, for example, if we go to our office, when you are going to the office, if we think that we are going to the office to serve the employer, to serve Krishna, in the sense that when I land up in office, I behave as devotee, I be as truthful as possible. I will be as honest as possible. I want to show to my colleagues how tolerant I am, how I can understand the problems, how I can listen to others. And that is an offering to Krishna because you're offering the work that you do, right? Whatever you do, whatever. So then there is no need. Then the life becomes devotion. Work becomes devotion. The work and devotion they don't get separate. It's not that I go to the office, I do whatever I want, and then I come home and do a puja, then I think I'm a devotee. No, devotee means 24 bar 7. So that is 327. 927, Acharya is described in two ways. One is they say that's a Krishna's order, you follow it. Or somebody softly says that's a Krishna's request. Whichever way we take, Yat Karoshi, Yadashnasi, Yat Josh. And 1155 says, Krishna says that in a very friendly manner, you need to devote yourself, you need to do your activities without any moha, without any, nirvairya. So be friendly, nicely deal with people, do your things, do that. 1814 tells that there are five things that are very important. There has to be a place, there has to be a performer, there has to be senses, there has to be many endeavors that has to happen for even a small thing to happen. There are so many things that has to work, right? For example, if I have to come and speak to you, I should be there. I should know what I should speak. There should be a platform that is given by Subal Prabhu. There's a Zoom connection. You are there. So many things have to work good. But over and above, Daivam Panchatra, Daivam Chaivatra Panchama. The fifth element is there, that is God's approval. Once that is there, things will become fulfilled. So if we remember that Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam, then whenever we do something and whenever we get a good result, if we put 214, 247, 330, 87, 927, 1155, and 1814, then we remain in the ground. We don't get that ahankar. And that will help us to achieve. Again, we just forget what happened and we move forward in life. Otherwise, our success becomes our baggage. And it's so difficult to remove that baggage. Even if somebody you want to forget, somebody will remind you. And then again, that brings us the ahankar in view, right? It's very subtle and it's very difficult to get away. So that's why we should always be grounded. It is done and dusted. Whatever I have to do, I've done. I've offered it to Krishna. What is my next step? And it's very subtle. It's extremely subtle. The kind of baggage that we carry ourselves is, I think, it's very difficult. So when we remember this, at least we will have, at least consciously we can reduce this. I'll just give my own personal example. Sorry, I'm giving this. Why it's very important to keep on reminding is sometimes people introduce me that okay, his name is this. He studied in IIT Kharagpur. And even though I studied in IIT Kharagpur 30 years back, somebody remembers. But I wanted to forget when I sit before a class. It is not what I'm an IIT. I studied IIT or not IIT doesn't matter at all. But somebody, even though if I want to forget also, somebody reminds me that payload, which is useless for me, but it unnecessarily brings my ego into the picture. But how can I get rid of that ego? When I quickly remember the essence of these shlokas, I become grounded. Otherwise, what happens is I will be driven with that additional entitlement that is given to me as a part of respect that I studied in IIT Kharagpur, right? There's nothing actually. Anybody can go to IIT or anybody cannot go to IIT. That doesn't matter. That doesn't make a person a great person, right? But somehow we feel that. So that's why these shlokas are important. Whenever we get any success or even failure, you remember this, it will keep us grounded. That's to keep us grounded, to always be conscious that we are God's servants is very important for us to move in devotional service. So that's why I told this shloka. I hope I explained to you what I wanted to explain.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Great, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we'll conclude the thing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Thanks a lot, Prabhuji. You're all coming very sincerely to study Bhagavatam. It's very, very important. To read Bhagavatam like this, in a slow, calm, meditative manner is very, very important. It's not that how many shlokas we cover, how much of depth and how much of knowledge that we perceive, we understand, we internalize, and we apply in our life. That's very, very important. And Srila Prabhupada will be pleased, I suppose. Hare Krishna. Thanks a lot. Take care and have a nice weekend with your families, friends, and enjoy the weekend to the extent possible. Remembering Krishna always. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.